A book, Instinct of Willpower, How Self-Control Works, Why It Is Important and What You'll Be Able to Do to Urge More of It by Kelly McGonigal. Your willpower instinct is crucial to your productivity, your waistline, and your professional relationships without being seen by cat videos all day rather than doing all of your job. Burger with cheese when you drive the dogs and tell the annoying coworker what you actually thought when faced with a choice or desire. Your willpower instinct is that reminds you of your long-term interests. Your instinct of willpower is what resists short-term pleasure and pushes you to try and do tedious tasks that may pay off within the coming years. Neuroscientists discovered that it's when people struggle to take care of self-control, they activate part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. And also the prefrontal cortex is the latest addition to the human brain in terms of our evolution and has the flexibility to bypass signals from the more primitive, animal-like areas of the brain that want to fancy every impulse and temptation. Is that the part of your brain that cries "Ben, eat this," the drink that Kelly says when it's easier to remain on the couch. Prefrontal cortex causes you to want to awaken and exercise when it's easiest to mention yes to sweetening the skins of pre-filter from members, reasons for ordering tea instead, and when it's easier to place off this project until every day tomorrow. The prefrontal cortex is the one that helps you open the coil and make progress anyway. But neuroscientists have also discovered that the more willpower challenges you face, the less active your prefrontal cortex becomes, and it becomes sort of a muscle that has limited strength. The more willpower your strength are, I said the effectiveness of this can be the rationale why it's easy to resist a cake at 9 o'clock within the morning and not that easy at 9 o'clock within the evening after a protracted day of labor. Knowing that your willpower is sort of a muscle will be stretched comforting and discouraging. It's reassuring because it makes your past failures of willpower like foregoing this diet as a result of depleting the muscle of willpower and not as a result of being weak or a lazy person. You weren't perfect within the past. You were working hard or working in an environment with plenty of distractions, like an environment within which co-workers and clients routinely bring cans of donuts. Running in an environment like this can be depleting. Your willpower leaves you unprotected against impulses and urges you later within the day to the actual fact that willpower is finite is frustrating because we sleep in an era of endless temptation and distraction that drains all. Both of them are reserves of our willpower. Research reveals that the typical person makes 227 food-based decisions on a daily basis. Because of Amazon, you're one click aloof from the lure of shopping for this new gadget you do not need. You cannot afford it because of Apple and Samsung. You now have a smartphone in your pocket allows you to be constantly distracted by text messages, emails and video games. There's an all-out attack on your limited reserves of willpower. So how are you able to persist with this diet or deadlines and avoiding becoming a weak-willed zombie in an attempt to resist? Author Kelly McGonigal, a professor of psychology at Stanford, has created a course called The Science of Willpower at its core, which equips her students with the newest science-validated willpower strategies. Here are 2 promising and unexpected strategies you'll use to keep up your willpower reserves throughout the day and stick with your goals despite the constant depletion of your willpower. The primary strategy is to extend your pulse rate variability when tempted to recover. Alcoholics by drinking. Those with high pulse fluctuations are more likely to resist the drink and survive. Come to life. Those with a coffee rate fluctuation have the next risk of relapse. Kelly says if you have got high pulse rate fluctuations you have got more willpower available the more temptation occurs. So what exactly is heart rate fluctuation? If your pulse rate is 60 beats per minute, your heart won't beat at exactly 1 second intervals for the total 60 seconds. If you're healthy and relaxed, it should actually be beating at different intervals like 0.07 seconds, then 0.98 and 7 seconds, 1.5 seconds, so forth. These aren't serious heart arrhythmias, they're just slight variations in heart rhythms, and also the more varied heart intervals, the more fluctuations in your vital sign. How are you able to increase your pulse rate variability and reach strength? Greater willpower. Kelly says you will not find many quick fixes during this book, but there's a way to extend your willpower immediately, to slow your breathing to 4 to 6 breaths per minute, which slows your breathing, activates the prefrontal cortex and increases vital sign variability. After recognizing pulse rate fluctuation, I bought a pulse rate monitor and was tracking pulse rate fluctuation using the iPhone app. I found that the foremost effective thanks to increased pulse rate variability is to perform 5 Kelly breaths per minute, but doing it by inhaling for 4 seconds and exhaling for 8 seconds. Pause the video and take a look at to try to do it for a moment. Initially you'll desire a suffocation, but you may quickly adapt and feel calm if you're feeling such as you are losing your self-control. Just remember 5 breaths a second, 4 seconds and 8 seconds. The second willpower strategy is self-forgiveness. Kelly says if you think that the key to greater willpower is to be harder on yourself, then you're not alone, but you're wrong. A study after a study showed that self-criticism is consistently linked to less motivation and worse self-control. A study traced Carleton University of Ottawa procrastinated students over the course of a whole semester and located that students who were tougher on themselves to procrastinate on the initial test were more likely to procrastinate on subsequent tests than for college students to forgive themselves the longer they postpone studying for the subsequent exam. The tolerance, not the guilt, is what has allowed students to beat procrastination and improve their grades. Self-criticism is counterproductive as a technique for self-control because, like other types of stress, it prompts you to be upright and cozy in coping activities like binge. This can be after you are eating frozen dessert or watching TV rather than finishing this project. That the next time you're on the verge of losing your self-control, give some thought to the last time you gave the temptation or started procrastinating. Relive the instant you remember how bad you felt afterwards. Be a decent friend and forgive yourself. Keep to yourself. Everyone struggles with willpower challenges and loses control from time to time. I'm just somebody's bean, and there's nothing wrong with a dose of self-forgiveness. You give yourself the power to use your willpower again. That the next time you discover it yourself trying to find self-control, forgive yourself and slow your breathing. This can make sure that you have got enough willpower reserves to end this project or stick with this diet, which was the most message I gathered from Kelly's book. It is a great resource for killing procrastination and that I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching.